Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special call meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee. Thank you for taking the time to be at this meeting this afternoon. As you could tell from the agenda, we have a few things to discuss that we normally don't, but Mr. Kennedy is going to explain that. So I will call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the agenda.
Your motion approved.
So moved. Second.
Okay. The first item on the agenda is the resolution of signing authority. Ms. Barnett?
I'm sorry, is the first item the removal of the 4 parcels?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. Thanks, Cindy.
No problem.
Yes, the removal of 4 parcels from Noisette TIF district. I've got too much technology going on in front of me.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Kennedy's office received a letter from the North Charleston Mayor, Keith Summey, on March 4th. And this letter is informing our district, the county's request and the city's plan to remove 4 parcels from the Noisette TIF district. The letter is requesting the district to adopt the attached resolution consenting to the removal of the parcels as required by state law. After consulting with Carol Clark, our bond counsel, and the county auditor's office, there is not a foreseeable adverse financial impact to the district. We will receive property taxes on the total current assessed values of these parcels, but it is not clear at this time when we will receive those property taxes or the amounts.
Any questions about the request?
I wasn't able to see or honestly just didn't have time to look where the address is. I'm specifically want to know if I know they're removing the Navy Hospital, and that's because it needs to go under that other tax thing. Are they removing the Teddy Pryor building across the street?
I am not sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't see that either, except for the only thing that I saw was the hospital. I didn't see any other addresses either.
The reason I'm asking is I'm wondering if they're removing the ones that are now going to be tax exempt.
Ms. Coates, hi, this is Carol Clark. In the ordinance adopted by the city, they give 4 TMS numbers, but the only reference they give is the following parcels of real property known as the Old Naval Hospital. So we don't know exactly what the intent is with this. You know, that TIF district was created a good while ago. So, and nothing has ever really been done there with the Old Navy Hospital. So there may be future plans. I'm just guessing. There may be future plans for other.
Oh, there's massive future plans. It's using some of those tax qualifying, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm just curious if they're going to roll off the ones that don't give us any taxes. It sounds like we don't know, and that's fine.
And what will happen with those, as you know, when a TIF district is created and the school district consents to it, the assessed value that you get, the taxes from, are frozen at that initial assessed value at the time of creation of the TIF, and that's all that you get for the life of the TIF. But here, they're in taking these parcels out, the school district would have the advantage of any increase in assessed value that might have occurred since those values, you know, were set back in the early 2000s.
Sure, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, y'all have taken over my screen, so I don't have my agenda in front of me. I don't know what's next.
I was going to say, and if someone could untake over our screens, I need to turn down my computer, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, am I talking too loud?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay, all
It was
right.
me.
So the next thing on the agenda is the resolution of signing authority. Ms. Barnett.
Good afternoon, everyone. We recently submitted an application to Charleston County to rezone a real estate parcel that we recently purchased that is adjacent to Ladson Elementary School. When we submitted that, we were told that we needed to have a resolution of signing authority that stipulated that I could sign as owner of that parcel in order to move forward with this application to the Planning Commission. So this is just a motion to approve that resolution that gives me the signing authority for that application and for that specific parcel of property.
Angela, is this normal? I mean, we done this before?
We have done I have submitted several different applications to rezone property. This was the first. When I questioned them, they came back and said that in the past, that we did not currently own the property when we rezoned. And this is just for Charleston County because I did not need to do this for the city of North Charleston, and I have not had to do this for the town of Mount Pleasant. So this is specific to Charleston County. But this will continue to come up with any parcels for that municipality as we move forward.
And I assume y'all have talked this through in the legal office. I mean, I'm thinking about you and liability. So, I mean, this is the way to go on this. Is that right?
And I have spoken to Mercedes, and Mercedes, you can chime in if you need to address it.
I don't know if they can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. That's right, Ms. Green. I confirmed with Natalie Ham, as you all know, the county general counsel. And so I've seen these in the past. It depends on the entity you're working with. So Charleston County is requiring this. So we'll be talking going forward on what to do so Angela doesn't have to go through this every single time in the event it comes up with another entity.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure Angela doesn't put herself in a situation where somebody would sue her for the school district. Anyways, are there any other questions from the committee? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Angela. Fixed cost of ownership, Mr. Rory.
Yes, ma'am. So the next two action items were the impetus of setting up this meeting. So I apologize to each of the committee members for taking up more of your time, but we've got a couple of urgent needs here that I wanted to put out, and that led to some other things that needed to be brought forward as well. So this first item is a reallocation of existing FY22 fixed cost of ownership money, sweeping up money from the software account that's not needed. We met our expectations for this year, and distributing those funds among fixed cost of ownership, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and other accounts that support a modular unit. So that's the bigger issue is that we have a need for a 10 classroom modular unit that we would like to install at Stall High School. This is very different than most units. It's not an individual classroom. It's a facility that you enter from the end of the building, and there are classrooms on each side with a hallway down the middle. The need for that is because of growth. A little bit of history. Back last fall, Angela Barnett had proposed to change the zone between Stall High School and North Charleston High School to move what would be projected growth into North Charleston High School. That was approved by the District 4 Constituent Board. At the same time, a number of changes were occurring at North Charleston High School. They were accepted as an innovation school. They made changes to classrooms to create more of a community atmosphere. Our facilities department created 3 classrooms out of 6 by creating openings between classrooms. So we essentially reduced the capacity of that school. And looking at bringing students into that school would create a challenge for those students moving over there. And working with learning services, I've got Dr. Joe Williams on the line, if necessary, to talk more of the reason that we want to keep those kids at stall and accommodate them in a trailer, which we would probably need to install at North Charleston High School based on its current program capacity anyways. In parallel with that, even though Mr. Carrick is leaving Stall High School, he had developed a concept of the newcomer program. He has a significant number of students that walk into his building without being able to speak a word of English. And it's been a real challenge to get those kids assimilated, make them feel comfortable. And he had talked about having a welcome center, a newcomer center for both students and families in a set aside environment to make them feel comfortable coming in to his campus. And so this would allow that concept to occur as well. The purchase of the modular unit would be done with fixed cost of ownership money that you have already approved for FY23. We actually have a trailer line item that we'll be able to utilize. This is just to buy the support equipment that goes into that school. At this point, I covered a little bit on the education side. Dr. Williams, is there anything that I missed that you'd like to cover from that perspective?
Hey, great day, everyone. So Jeff, you did a pretty good job, but I just like to maybe support it more by saying this center is something that Stall has been wanting for quite some time. When we look at the kids that we're looking at to qualify as far as staying, because I think Jeff mentioned the part about the newcomer center where we would help families become acclimated, talk to them about support services that are available. We would also look at kiddos that we would identify based on testing, because they could take their testing at that center as well. And if they're below what we call a level 2 as it relates to their ability to speak the English language, those would be the kids that we would identify to attend this program. So right now, in speaking to Chris Hagan, who's over our ELL population here in the district, we have about 200 kids that will qualify. 120 of those scholars are at Stall High School. So it would make sense for that program to be at Stall High School. And like I said before, in addition to actually helping the families become acclimated, we would provide some intensive language acquisition instruction for those kiddos for at least 1 to 2 years, because again, they come, they're not comfortable, they can't speak English, and this will be a prime opportunity to do something that's right. So Jeff and I had a conversation this morning and talking about, originally our plan was to move those kiddos to North Charleston, but as we kind of found a barrier that 2 things were happening at the same time. District 4 was rezoning. North Charleston was adding more specificity to their innovative piece. We met with Jeremy. He talked about this idea, and we think it's a great thing to do for kiddos.
So thank you, Dr. Williams. That covers it in a nutshell. So subject to your questions, I'm requesting approval of the reallocation of these fixed cost of ownership funds.
May I ask a question?
You sure may.
So Jeff, I appreciate the phone call that you and I had, and I haven't, you were extraordinary in that, but I want to ask a couple of specific questions more to Mr. Williams. So Dr. Williams, is this just for students who need to assimilate, or are we putting extra trailers out there because there's more than 120 students at Stall that we can't fit in the building? I want to be clear that we're not trying, that we're very open and transparent about what we're doing. Are we also putting trailers out there for overpopulation in addition to this one single multi-classroom unit simply because of English language barriers?
This would be specific for those ELL learners, Ms.
And Jeff, you're confirming that there are no other trailers being put out there because of overcrowding?
Correct. That many of the classes that Jeremy Carrick holds in the school now, the classes that are in there, he would actually pull out and be able to fully occupy the gen ed classrooms inside the school.
So we're going to put one multi-classroom facility out there. So Dr. Williams, I've talked to some teachers in CCSD as well as in Berkeley County, and there is this thing that you're fixing to segregate children who have arrived from, who have English barrier issues. And because it's being so tied to the fact that we don't have room in the building, there's a lot of concern that these kids are just going to get sent out there to get educated, and there's a perception that they can't be in the real building. And so my questions are, have you created I know all you're asking us to do is put the trailer out there, but if we say yes to put the trailer out there, we're in fact saying yes to whatever you do inside of it. And I'm just worried that we have a plan that cycles these kids back into the building in 60, 90, 120 days, that they don't sit out there. And it really concerned me when you said a year or two to get them assimilated. where are they taking their core classes and how long before they're allowed to be in the building with the other bilingual style students?
So let me clarify that we're talking about providing the language acquisition pieces inside of those trailers, but they will be accessing Stall High School's building for use of the cafeteria, but also some of those elective courses. So they'll be taking the elective courses in the building, Ms. Baumcoats.
So they'll be taking elective courses in the building from the day they get there. What gets them out of the modular and into the campus to take their core and graduation classes?
Well, of course, that would depend upon where they are as far as their levels are concerned. Like I expressed to you earlier, we're looking at kids who are level 2 or lower. So as those kids start to advance to level 3, which is a really strong showing that they're ready to, transition into more of those classes at Stall High School, that's when that'll happen or occur, ma'am.
And so Jeff, we'll be able to fit them in at Dr. Dr. Williams as well. I mean, he calls you, or he decides 20 move out. Are we going to be able to fit 20 in the building? I just want to make sure that we're not segregating children based on language barrier, because that's kind of important to me.
I feel very comfortable with their plan. There is a definite requirement for them to be in the building for various functions, like Dr. Williams said, electives and lunch, PE, things of that nature. So I fully expect them to be going back and forth and not simply out there on their own the entire day.
And so when he's ready to tell you that 30 or 50 of them can go back in full-time install, are we going to have space for them?
We should be able to. Jeremy's been able to manage it so far. Again, we'll have a new principal coming in. We'll have to work with them very closely. And I would add, because I suspect that maybe your next question, what's the long-term plan? And we do have a wave 3 capital project for the expansion of Stall. So we're going to have an architect begin studying that while Mr. Carrick is still here, because I want to capture any ideas he has to permanently expand Stall, to start weaning ourselves off the trailers and potentially provide some additional improvements out there for them with the larger enrollment that they have.
And thank you for that. And I think that's a great plan, because that's a campus that has been successful and needs to continue to move in that direction. From a, and Mercedes, this may, Mrs. Reese, this may be a question that you need to answer, but we have a constituent board that has the authority to set the attendance zone lines. They have set the attendance zone lines. So I want to make sure that we're doing two things. One, we're not allowed not to send children to their attendance zone schools. If the constituent board set the attendance zone lines, is that trigger the fact that we're now saying kids are zoned for North Charleston High School, but we're going to keep them at Stall anyway? And the second piece is, do we need to formally overturn their decision so that this is not an attendance zone issue? They did that on our, I'm just kind of concerned that we did this in October and we're just now trying to figure out that we've got to get ready for the next school year now. So where are we in terms of legality? Are these kids zoned for North Charleston High School since that vote?
So go ahead, Mercedes. I was going to throw something in before you answered, if you don't mind, just to let everyone know where we stand with that. So we have reached out to the District 4 board zone. We were hoping to be on their agenda this past Tuesday, and we're unable to make that happen. We want to continue to have that dialogue with them to get them to support this initiative. But from my perspective, if they don't change the zone, we would have to come back to the county board to overturn that, like you just mentioned. But that's just from what I've done in the past, or thought about having to do in the past. We never actually had to do it. But I've personally not reviewed it with Mercedes, so I'm going to put her on the spot. But if you have any other info, please let us know.
No, that's what I was going to say, Jeff. I think you, me, and Dr. Williams should probably get together and discuss that. I'm not sure yet.
So I'm concerned if we're going to go down. I just want to line this up so that we're not shoving things back down the constituent board's throat at the last minute, or scrambling. I just don't want to put the cart before the horse. It appears right now we are telling that children's zone for North Charleston High School, we are making financial And then by approving those, you're going to say the board gave you authority to not send those children to their attendance zone. How soon can we get this cleaned up? This is just messy.
So if I can answer, what I'm only asking you to approve in this is the funding to transfer funds to allow us to buy furniture and IT equipment that would be needed anywhere for the additional number of students. So my motion isn't to keep the kids there. My motion is to allow us to begin buying the equipment necessary so that we can resolve what you just brought up, Mrs. Coates.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'll come back to you, Cindy, but I know you're passionate. This is your area, but I just want to make sure. Does anybody else on the committee have any questions? I guess my question, Jeff, is if the District 4 constituent board does not go along, then what happens? You will bring it back to the full board for them to overturn. Did you say something?
I believe so, but I would like to take that offline and have the discussion with council on specifics.
Okay. So nothing will happen. I mean, what you asking us to do is transfer the funds, but the fact of the trailer, I mean, we aren't approving that anyways. Is that right? Not for a stall.
So this motion doesn't approve to put it at stall.
Right.
I am going to be asking in an item coming up, because now we have to get board approval for any purchase over 250. I'm going to ask to buy that modular unit. If you all want to tell me, we're authorized you to buy it. We're not telling you where to put it right now. I'm okay with that right this second. I just need the approval to buy the furniture, buy the IT equipment, and buy the unit. That's
Okay.
my real goal, to get support from Audit Finance today.
Cindy, did you have some more questions?
So really that does kind of wrap it up. I would suggest that you don't have something on the action item that says will be used at Stall High School. Your background discussion clearly states your intention, and just to keep it clean, maybe you want to remove that if all you're simply asking for when it comes to the board is the transfer of the money. Because this says transfer the money so that I can do this at Stall and Lucy Beckham.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we clean
If I
that
can
up?
add one more
before-
piece.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, Ms. Boncoast, but go ahead and finish.
No. Just can we clean that language up before this goes into the permanent record? Because we never send this stuff to the school board meeting. But you're saying you're saying you're not asking for use in a specific location. I'd prefer the action item to reflect that, what you're saying.
So you're suggesting, Cindy, that we delete delete Stall High School.
Well, delete that they're going to be used at any location, because what he's asking is to buy the equipment, and
Okay.
then he'll come back and ask for where.
Does that give you what you need, Jeff?
I'm completely done and completely comfortable. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was going to
All right.
add one more piece if it's okay.
Sure, Mr. Williams.
Ms. Green.
Dr. Williams, I'm
so-
sorry.
It's okay. So I just wanted to say to Ms. Boncoast, I hear you, and I totally agree. We do not want to isolate or separate our kids, right? So even with the situation with North Charleston, the pieces that Jeff spoke to earlier, one of the biggest pieces to their innovative plan, and I know you're aware of this, is the fact that they have the pods that they're working with ELL kiddos on. And I think that's what we're seeing across the board, especially in North Charleston, because we have such a large ELL population that they're trying to think of how they can do things differently to properly serve those kids. So while it's not our intent to keep those kids in that program and separated for an extended period of time, we want to address their needs as soon as they get here. And that's why they're thinking that way. Mr. Carrick is thinking that way, Mr. Darby, and we even have Mr. White at Morningside thinking through, we've got to do something different for these kids because they see it's a need. So I just wanted to put that piece out there that totally agree with you, but that's the intent. That's where we're coming from in reference to trying to do something as quick as we can, get them accelerated, make them feel really comfortable about where they are so we can see them achieve in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Okay, are there any other questions on this issue? Cindy, I'm going to request that you make this motion so that we make sure the wording is what we need it to be. if you don't mind?
Jeff, help me out here. So really what the motion needs to be is to,
I would offer just to, as noted, motion to approve the reallocation of funds as shown on the attached resolution.
because the attached resolution does not
doesn't
have
have a
any
location.
location. Yeah, so Joyce, the motion on the action item is good.
Okay.
It's just that the background information leads to an expectation. If we remove that, then we remove that expectation.
So we are removing the background discussion. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So you will motion for that, Cindy? Was that a motion coming from you?
Yes, I move to approve the reallocation of funds as shown on the attached resolution.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? So if Cindy has completely confused everybody, y'all let me know. I mean, I'll have her go back through it, but I think I follow what she's saying. Thanks for that input, Cindy. Okay, the next item, Jeff, you can continue, is another budget reallocation.
Yes, ma'am. And on that previous item there, Lucy Beckham was listed, and that was for furniture, and that leads into this discussion here. So we're coming forward with a request to reallocate excess revenues from the phase 4 sales tax. Right now we have 34+ million in excess revenues in hand right now in the phase 4 program. So there's no risk of impacting any other need at this point. But we have the same challenge at Lucy Beckham High School with additional students. This upcoming year, they'll grow their 12th grade. The projected enrollment number is 1,757. The school was built for 1,500. You may say, why did we make this mistake? I'm proud to say this is the first mistake I've made in 14 new buildings. So I'll take responsibility for not getting this number right. But we're experiencing a much higher live-in attendant percentage than we expected. We're receiving kids from private school that we didn't expect. In fact, 18% of the freshman class were not in our schools last year. So they were either in private schools or out of state. We have a reduced number of students from the Beckham zone going to Academic Magnet and School of the Arts. So this school has blown up significantly. Ms. Barnett, who does our enrollment projections, has made it very clear that based on her look at the way ahead, the number is flattening out. The next 2 years are going to be the worst that we have because the middle school kids, the number is decreasing for those kids that are in the zone. So we expect this to flatten out. But in the meantime, we need an 8-classroom modular unit at Stall High School. It's similar to the one I had talked about in the earlier recommendation. The request for reallocation of resources would include other equipment needed except for the furniture, which was in the last resolution, but it would be the hookups, the ramps, the IT infrastructure, fire alarm, et cetera, that goes with it in this motion. We've got a place for the modular unit right behind the auditorium.
Questions? And I asked Jeff about the excess revenues, and because it says the project will be funded from excess revenues. Jeff, can you briefly explain what you explained to me about that?
So right now we're in the last year of the phase 4 sales tax. We've already exceeded projections by 34.8 million. If we continue to grow like we're growing, we're going to add another 12 million or so to that list for FY 22 for the calendar year 22. We also have the Hersey project, which is a new build in phase 5, but we still have renovation money assigned in phase 4. So we have a significant amount of resources. Eventually we'll come to the board with a distribution of this money. Some of it is in another board action in which you approved earlier this month for increasing capital maintenance, but that's accounted for as well.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? If not, I will entertain a motion. Somebody give me a motion, please.
A motion to, oh,
Okay. Cindy, you second?
yeah,
Okay. I'm picking at you today. I'm picking on you today. No reason.
that's all right, honey.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Leo knows.
Jeff.
Well, he knows who DI.
The next item is, let's see here, procurement ratifications and justifications. And I saw this on open session and on executive session. So Mr. Kennedy, I'm going to let you explain whether this should be on both and why. And it's probably the appropriate time for you to kind of talk through what's going on as to why these items are coming to audit and finance.
And so I think we need to move into executive session to get into the reasons why. And then when we come out of executive session, it's on the open session for vote by the committee. But the explanation needs to be done in executive session.
So should that have not even been there? The item 6 should, I mean, in open session, that probably should have been deleted, right? Because when we come out of executive session, we have the item 11 that would take care of anything we talked about in executive session. I'm just wondering whether that should, item 6 should have been deleted.
Ms. Green, you're correct.
Okay.
Items 7 and 8 will be covered in executive session, and then when we come out under item 11, they'll be discussed in open session.
Okay. So there is nothing else to talk about in open session, is that right? No, I think the rest of it is executive session. Okay, and I guess I'm not sure procedurally, Mercedes, whether we can go back after the fact and clean up the agenda, but probably to delete those items, we probably need to, just for the record, if it's, as the agenda is filed.
I think we can reflect it in the minutes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to go into executive session and would ask that those of you who are not a part of the executive session, if you would excuse yourselves.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Ms. Green, you're on mute.
Maggie, just let me know when we're ready.
All set. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so we are now out of executive session, back into open session. We were in executive session to discuss some contractual matters. And on item number, what is that? Sorry, y'all. On the first item that we talked about, item number 10, no, that's not 10. What is that? Hold on a minute. Item number 9, I will entertain a motion. Where are my committee members?
Motion to accept the items for ratification to move forward.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And it's noted, Ms. Coates put in the chat that her vote is yes.
Okay. Thank you, Velma, for helping me migrate this afternoon. I don't know what's going on with me, but anyways, thank you. Okay, and on item number 10.
Make a motion to approve with the addition that we strike out the modulars being specifically say going for Stall High School.
Second? Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very
Also-
much.
Also, please record Ms. Coates as having a yes.
As approved, okay. Thank you. Our next meeting, agenda items. I guess everything that we talked about today goes to the full board. Is that right, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all of the items will go to the board. They won't be, will they be on the Monday meeting? I guess.
Yes,
so.
they will.
Oh, okay, okay. And our next meeting is April 5th. If there are no further questions or comments, I thank you again for your time and efforts with this meeting, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. See you on the 5th.